Hi, and thanks again for joining me on this episode of Sealed for Good. Today I'm going to talk about safety data sheets. Many of you refer to them as MSDS sheets. They actually are commonly referred to now correctly as SDS sheets. The material pieces are taken out and it's a safety data sheet. But it's one that I talk to a lot of customers out there, and surprisingly how many people don't actually refer to them or really know what the function of them is. And the reality is we see a lot of building clients or commercial clients wanting to know what products are brought on site from a safety perspective, from an OH&S side of it, but the guys actually applying product forget on what the purpose of them is. So I've brought in a couple safety data sheets from different products, but I'm going to run quickly through WorkSafe Australia what the three main reasons of a safety data sheet are for. And I'm just reading off my notes here. So firstly, they must provide information about the hazards of the chemical. That's what they were designed for, and safety data sheets are for all materials, whether it's a chemical in a factory right through to a paint that's on a building site. So the hazards of the chemical and how to handle it safely, including the storage and disposal, the physical and chemical properties of the chemical, okay, as well as the potential health and emergency response measures. And the other one is the environmental effects of the chemical and how to handle that. Now, okay, we'll put that aside. That's the reason for safety data sheets and what they need to address. But for the applicators that are using product every day out there, carrying them in your vans, in your utes, picking them up, using them on site, or being around other products you're not aware of, what is the purpose of a safety data sheet? Well, it's to keep you safe. It's pretty simple. That is the main one. And surprisingly, a lot of people don't read the safety data sheet and understand what it is. Every safety data sheet, I've got our Gripset 38FC here, I've got a couple of popular brands, I've got a Bostik Danfix PU one, which many applicators around the country are using that. And I've got one from Tremco, the Tremproof 60 or the TP60, which is an old product that's been around for many, many years, and we see lots of customers in still Australia and New Zealand using those sorts of products. So I thought I'd bring these three in just to give you a bit of a rundown on these products and the different information, because they are compliant from what I've found of the GHS safety data sheets that you need to have out in the marketplace. But every data sheet needs to have the company details, the material name and the company details. And if that product is also coded internally with a certain way, like our Gripset 38FC, we have our code as GS38FC, it's listed on there with the sizes of the buckets, that's down there. You've got to talk about the company details with the address, the phone numbers, an email number, and an emergency telephone number. That's important. No good just having a number on there. It needs to be an emergency phone number that can be addressed when products could be used on site. That's the important bit. Every safety data sheet has a hazards identification. So this is the first piece under the company details that's very important, and one that you need to be aware of, okay? Because a lot of people use product, have a problem with it later, and then go, oh shit, there's a problem with this product, or I've had a reaction to it, or it's something else has happened. And you don't want to be growing an ear on your forehead. So you need to understand this information and read carefully, because if you're using the wrong product and you're allergic to something, or someone around you is, you can get into lots of trouble. So basically, it will tell you a hazardous classification. Is the good dangerous? So for our Gripset 38, for example, it's a water-based membrane, so it says here, not classified as dangerous goods by the criteria of WorkSafe Australia, okay, or Safe Work Australia. If you've got a solvent-based PU, it might tell you that this material is hazardous according to health criteria of Safe Work Australia. It's spelling it out there. It doesn't mean it can't be used, but it's just telling you that's the classification. And Safe Work Australia is out there as a national body that classifies these products. And you've got one here where, and the Bostik PU is the same thing. This material is hazardous according to the health criteria of Safe Work Australia. Get that out. And it gives you the details. So it might be harmful, but it doesn't say it can't be used, okay? So it's important that you don't make judgments on products just because you see a hazardous sign. They still can be used, but the information in data sheets also helps you understand, firstly, what's in the product, okay? So if it's combustible, okay, if it's flammable, it will tell you that. It's got to tell you by law. If you pick up a data sheet from a company and it can't give you that information, it's not compliant to GHS. And so you see the big companies like Tremco, large American group with the RPM group, Bostik, global business, They've got that data on there, as we have Gripset and many other of our contemporaries have got it out there. That's basic information you need to address. What is the nature of the material? For many reasons. Firstly, if you need to wear a mask for inhalation reasons, okay, because of the hazards, you need to be aware of it. You need to also be very transparent with your client. If you're using these products on site, every product has to have this. Be on the front foot as an applicator and not just have it for yourself, but give it to your client, particularly if you're in a residential application or other workers that could be in adjoining rooms. You might be doing a bathroom, it could be a cabinet maker or a plumber next door. They know what's around as well. So the builder can be aware of it, not that they wait for a smell and go, what the hell is this odour? That is important to address first up. The second thing is it gives everyone the transparency of what's being used on site, and in the event there's anything that could be going on that could be hazardous, like if you have got a combustible product on site, you don't want to be using it where there could be some sort of live flame somewhere, or materials that could react. And these data sheets will explain where the hazards are. For example, it'll tell you how to store products. Okay, so this is a solvent-based flammable PU, and it will tell you things like with storage. Where have I got it here? In 10. Don't put it near incompatible materials, near alcohols, amines, strong acids, strong bases, water and moisture. Now, water and moisture is not going to make it explode. It will actually make it go off, and that's a storage issue as well. But it's important that you understand if there's other things on site, and sometimes there are acids on a building site. We see that with concrete applications and mortar applications, with cleaning. If that's a risk, be aware of it. Pass it on, because after the event, when something goes wrong, and I've seen stuff go wrong on sites, it's an issue. The other thing is, which is a real important one, is clean-up measures. Okay, like how do you clean your tools up? How do you clean? What do you do with the buckets? What do you do with any leftover matter? It will tell you whether you absorb it in a powder, if it's absorbed in the sand, you put it into a solid mass, can you get rid of it in a liquid state? All these sorts of things. You don't want to be telling a labourer, oh yeah, just go and wash this bucket out and put it down the drain, and it's a material that's very, very hazardous, because the shit will hit the fan and it'll just go backwards. It'll go to the builder, to the client, to you, and then all of a sudden you're going to be stuck with having to address that one. So really important that you understand the purpose of a data sheet, and things like first aid measures. In the event that someone is, for whatever reason, has come in contact with it and is having an issue, whether it be with skin contact, inhalation, they break out in a rash, eye soreness, breathing issues. Is it got to do with the material? If it has, this is something that you can refer back to, because even water-based acrylics sometimes, there are certain sensitive people on site that can have a reaction to things. You need to understand, the risk is a lot lower than a hazardous material, I understand that, but at least you've got that. So my suggestion is that any applicator out there that's working with materials on a constant basis, these are the sorts of things you should just have in a folder in your car. If you're dealing with, like our product, our applicators using Gripset 38 all the time, this sort of thing should be printed in a plastic folder in your vehicle, and whenever you need to pull it out, it's there, or have a few copies and you can give it out to clients. Or give them a link to the website, be on the front foot and let them know that. Same with other materials. You may be asked to use a material that you never used before. There's nothing wrong with asking, can I have a look at the data sheet first? Don't just accept stuff on face value. It's important. This is not just your health, but also those around you, environmental issues, and also you can then check out, once you've read the safety data sheet, then you should actually read the data sheet of the product and find out, is it suitable for the application you're being asked for? A lot of people go straight to the technical data sheet. Can I use it? Is it suitable? And they start playing with it, not knowing where the risks are or what the requirements are to handle it. And also things like storage. It'll tell you shelf life a lot of the time and how long it lasts for. You should find out what that is, particularly with moisture cured PUs, because they've got a limited life. You know, have you inherited something that might be at the back end of its shelf life, or is it something that's still got plenty of life ahead of it, compared to a water-based system where you've probably got longer shelf life on it and the risks are less. But these are things you need to understand. Same with things like powders. If you're using cement-based systems, what is the risk with powder? A lot of cement, or all cement-based products, they've got a silicosis risk. So how are you going to handle that and prevent the breathing in of cement dust? You know, we've got tilers, you've got repair mortars, you've got all cementitious membranes. All these things are at risk, and what you do with them afterwards. You know, that is the important piece with the packaging. And as I said, the last point for me was the transparency with your client. I just believe that we're in an age now where applicators, I love seeing guys that are posting their stuff on social media, they've got nothing to hide, builders should be backing you up on that, and your suppliers and your manufacturers should be doing exactly the same. So, transparency is the way to go. Have all this information, be very, very clear. Even, a professional would, before you arriving on site, if you're doing private work with a private client, let them know, look, this is the material that we've got on hand. If you're working in someone's home, that could be an extension versus a commercial building site. This is what I've got, this is what we're working with, you're on the front foot. Most commercial sites, you won't get a chance to even get on there without this information being presented and being aware to the safety officers, but there are some loopholes on many sites, particularly the medium density and the housing market, where dangers still apply. And so it's good to ensure that safety happens on site, be aware of what you're handling, and everyone's happy from there. If you've got any questions at all, please come back to us on our Facebook or Instagram page. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm looking forward to getting some feedback on this one. Stay safe, keep safe, seal for good.